For those of you very new to the journey is quite a profound healing method that was first created out of my own direct healing experience of healing from a basketball-sized tumor in only 6.5 weeks' time. And so even though I had been in the complementary medical field my whole life long and personal growth and got accredited in so many areas of health and well-being and potentializing yourself, and I was really at the cutting edge of what was happening in the field of health, the last thing I ever expected to have happen was to be diagnosed with this huge mass. And as you can imagine, it really sent me reeling. It catapulted me on quite a profound and radical, both spiritual healing experience and life-changing healing experience and emotional healing experience. And the great good gift that arose out of that original process that I went through for 6.5 weeks' time is something that's called the journey method. And what we know about healing and our cells and the effect that our emotions have on them is science has found that when we feel a strong emotion and we repress it, so we sweep it under the carpet, we deny it, we pretend it doesn't exist, we smoke it away, drink it away, get on Facebook, get on Netflix. All of us will do almost anything to avoid feeling an emotion. And so what science has found is when you're at a peak of a strong emotion and you shut it down, you repress it, it releases into your bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain cell receptors, blocking those cells, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, of course it happens where the cells are blocked. And conversely, was also known to be true about our emotions in the cells, is that when we feel our emotions very naturally, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. They can watch this in a laboratory. And so what happens is when we're at the peak of that strong emotion and the biochemistry floods our blood and goes to the cell receptors, that emotion and the memory and the consciousness and what we were going through at the time gets stored in that cell. And before that cell dies, it passes on its programming, its consciousness, its cell memory onto the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. I can remember in 1992 when I went to that surgeon and got my prognosis and was diagnosed, she said, Brandon, this probably started as one cell when you were 8 years old. And it replicated. And then by the end, my cells were growing exponentially. And by the time I got to the doctor, I looked like I was about 6 months pregnant, though I knew I wasn't. And so what the journey allows you to do in a very direct, repeatable, and practical way is to go on a journey inside your own body and to get access to these cell receptors and to uncover the programming that's stored inside there, the old cell memory, the old pain, the trauma, whatever it was you couldn't face at the time, because none of us were given a manual. What do you do in the face of trauma? And so, of course, we all shut it down. And so you get access to that entire cell memory, and you go through a very deep process of release and letting go and ultimately understanding what's happened to you in your life, understanding the life lessons, what you were meant to learn from that experience that you went through, that trauma, and ultimately through a process of forgiveness where you finally let go of that old consciousness. And so when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old cell memory as new regenerative cells. Now, this work at first happened in 1992, and I realized when I healed, when I got in hospital 6.5 weeks later, and I was pronounced tumor-free, completely absolutely textbook perfect, I realized that maybe this didn't happen to me just so that I could experience cellular healing, but maybe we're living in a time where in history we're finally able to participate in our own healing journeys. And so originally I started working with cancer centers, and I'd go to a cancer center and the nurses there would be, someone would be undergoing chemotherapy and also getting a journey process to get to the emotional corollary of what co-created the illness. And of course, over the years, it's not just about cancer. It's everything from brain tumors, arthritis, eczema, asthma, HIV, skin diseases, multiple sclerosis. As a matter of fact, there's 3 hospitals in Israel where in the oncology department, you go through all your treatment there. And then you have the opportunity to have a week long in the recovery center where you will undergo the journey to get to the emotional root cause of what put that whole consciousness in place. Or if you have multiple sclerosis, again, you'll do the same thing and you'll be in the recovery center for a week undergoing this and other work to so that it doesn't return. And the same is true for heart disease. So after you may have had your heart operation, okay, what caused you to have so much stress that a heart attack happened, and getting to the emotional root cause of that. So the journey is recognized and used around the world. When I first wrote the journey book, I was stunned. It became an international bestseller. And now the full journey practitioner program, the intensives and all the works are being used in 39 countries, and it's translated in 23 languages.